DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Monster Energy, Nice Cactus, and GGBet.
Our first semi-final of the day sees North wiping out Mad Lions to claim their spot in tonight's grand final. But one more must join them, and we are just around the corner from finding out who, as CR4ZY, take on GODSENT. My name is Freya Spears, and I'm your desk host for the duration of this grand final Sunday. And I'm so delighted to be joined by my wonderful analysts, Potter and Blair. Guys, that was a three-mapper to start off the day. We have been seeing some incredible Counter-Strike over the past few days. What are you expecting from this one?
3 maps, 16-14, 14-16, and a quadruple overtime. Close out a series.
Just how we like it. It's going to be spectacular indeed. But coming just from what we've been seeing before, obviously North winning over Mad Lions there. They haven't actually lifted DreamHack Open Trophy this year. They lifted 2 last year.
Yeah.
So this could potentially be coming into the grand final, their final chance to lift one in 2019, and their first.
Yeah, and for CR4ZY, it would be the second one if they manage to get the win, right? I think it's pretty cool. I think they face each other quite often as well. Yeah, North have impressed me so far. That series in particular is a lot of preparation coming into play. There's also a lot of the protocols falling into place perfectly. They had the game plan in mind, like the coach mentioned as well. They have a game plan, they're just playing to their strengths. It's working wonderfully for them. Going to this matchup though, we have GODSENT, and then of course we have CR4ZY. I think we have almost 8 or 9 nationalities playing here. You know, it's got to be interesting.
It definitely is, and I mean, we were going over in the green room specific definitions to describe international lineups, but that's precisely what these guys are. They've all come together, and I guess I've been using the term misfits a lot, but that seems to be the case a lot of the times. A lot of these teams that are trying to reestablish themselves and become relevant as far as being a contender within the best teams of the world. So I gotta say, these are like a group of misfits that are getting together and they're just trying to make things work.
Yes, exactly. Well, if you've missed out on any of the actions today, fear not, because we are going to be recapping you with our playoff bracket. Earlier this morning, we saw North taking on Mad Lions, which went the full 9 yards, and saw North actually taking it over their Danish counterparts, which means they are cemented in our grand final. Of course, we're going to be getting into CR4ZY versus GODSENT as our next matchup of the day. But looking at those 4 teams there's not really any surprises of the guys that have turned up for this final day.
Oh, absolutely not. Even the Mad Lions matchup was a close affair, right? It could have been Mad Lions as well. I'm expecting to see the same from both these teams. And for GODSENT, they were really tested, mind you. They've played 200 rounds to get to this semifinals. That's a lot of Counter-Strike power.
It really is, and I mean, even after that, we've got those 4 teams that have brightly made it here, but we even had big, as you mentioned earlier today, Freya. I mean, we said it, all of these teams, 4 or 5 of these teams within this tournament would be walking away here this weekend disappointed if they did not walk away with that trophy. So that says a lot about the competition here, the stacked teams that are here in attendance at this event. So I think that's it just makes things spicier.
Yes, there's so much on the line. $100,000 prize pool is a huge amount of money, and also the last ever DreamHack Open of 2019, which is a huge achievement. Potter, obviously you've been at every single one, which is awesome, but you also have 3 pound the back there from Blair. Well done.
Do it again, do it again. Oh, okay, all right.
Getting into our matchup right now, you have 3 reasons why for this next match.
So these are the 3 reasons why this will be a motley affair. And with reason number 1, it's because GODSENT are undefeated versus CR4ZY thus far when these 2 teams matched up against each other. We heard Michaelelli in his interview after their long day yesterday discussing the fact that he feels confident coming into this matchup because he's very familiar with what CR4ZY bring to the table. And with reason number 2, it's the fatigue. The long day yesterday, how is it going to affect these guys on GODSENT? They were here from 2 p.m., way earlier than 2 p.m., all the way past midnight last night. So the amount of exhaustion coming out of them hopefully doesn't affect them too much. And CR4ZY, they had the day off yesterday, so hopefully they don't come in here with lazy antics that sometimes get to the best of teams sometimes coming into these tournaments. And with reason number 3, it's that consistent form. We've been talking about the individuals on both of these squads needing to step up, needing to put up the numbers to help push their team over the edge, and that's what I'm expecting from both of these lineups here today.
Yes, exactly. And I'm so excited to see these guys go head-to-head in a best-of-3. We haven't actually seen Crazy partake in a best-of-3 yet this tournament, because obviously day one was just the best of ones. They managed to get their 2 wins. Had yesterday off to chill, relax. I think the coach was saying they were going to, you know, go see some sights, go maybe try some Spanish cuisine. But obviously we're getting into our best-of-3 now, and I'm very curious to see how the maps are going to go down for this one. Do you guys have any inkling of what's going to be banned, what's going to be picked?
This is one of the trickier ones, right?
It is, because once again, Crazy are coming into this BO3 with map disadvantages. They don't play Vertigo, they don't play Overpass, and they're okay at Nuke. So coming into this tournament, they need to have one of these 3 maps in their back pocket to have a good chance at this veto, because otherwise GODSENT are just going to be at a huge advantage before the match even goes live.
Yeah, Mirage Overpass getting banned, that's the usual perma bans coming in for both the teams. This is a standard ban phase, right?
Okay, there it is, Vertigo. Uh-oh, Crazy.
That's wild. I'm a little surprised why Duster was not picked by GODSENT. I think they could potentially get that win over Crazy on that map. They beat them in Duster, in fact, last time they faced off against each other. Train pick coming in, that makes sense. That's a map that Crazy are very comfortable on. Vertigo pick is ballsy from GODSENT, like you just pointed out, Potter, and Duster the decider. This does favor GODSENT.
I have to agree with you. Besides that train pick, we know how powerful Esperanto is on that map. GODSENT, if Crazy haven't been working on that Vertigo behind the scenes, if they haven't been trying to get an advantage coming to these series, they're going to be in a rough spot going into the series, I think.
Yes, exactly. So many questions going into this series, but we've got a short video to see what the teams thought coming into this matchup. Let's take a look.
2 players backing him up as well.
And at least that Molly did force him back. Attack. Make that a triple.
Oh my God.
That's 4 in a row. Not 3 bringing it to a home.
Feels really good, and we came here, we were preparing for this tournament for the last couple of days.
Well, we expected to go in semi-finals.
Have to play the back of hell. That leaves him up for the chopping block. Esperanto with 1 and moves into the site with a double as well. Bomb dropped and Esperanto finding a 3rd. That is...
You know, this is our last event for this season. Like then after this event we go to break. So it would be nice to end it with the win, with the trophy, you know.
Covered, Letney waiting and Kicks is going to go. Come on in!
It's going to be a tough game against us for sure.
We are basically going from one DreamHack event to another. We ended up top 4 in Jönköping. Right now we're here in Sevilla, and we expected definitely to the final at least.
5. They go for a fight. Stop a chance. Oh, get picked up already. Bomb plant is the tap to beat them into the open. The double peek.
I think Crazy is a good opponent for us. We played them before, also recently on LAN. They play a lot of individual CS, where we are more like a team-based team. And I think our style is like a clash of styles, so we will see how it goes.
You start to move into here. Makalele picks one up, and it's all on Crystal right now.
I feel like that everyone in this team believes that we can win.
Some confident words there from Seiko, hoping to do one better than they did in Winter and actually make it to the grand final. But Crazy are going to be the first team we're going to be focusing in on. Some very stellar results from these guys, especially in this tournament. Obviously, blasting through those best of ones on the first day, getting their day off yesterday to sort of practice, prepare, watch some team matchups. What would you have been doing if you were in that sort of situation, Blair?
It depends on the sort of team you were talking about, right? Some teams are just like, they don't like going out. Some teams are just boring people. But hey, as long as you put in the prep work, and that's what you want to do. If you want to win, that's what you do. For some teams, they want to loosen up a little bit, and I know these guys, like Crystal mentioned in the interviews, like these guys play a more loosey-goosey style, and maybe that's what you need to do. I don't think there's one correct way of playing Counter-Strike, right? It depends on your composition of players. And speaking of composition, these players you have over here, Esperanto, and of course Chips and all these guys, I have to give a little bit of credit to this particular core of players. When it was a Valiant's team earlier last year, I was like, you know what, Hunter's going to get picked up, Next is going to get picked up, and it's just going to be a team that someone else is going to farm. Then they won a DreamHack Open. I think a couple of DreamHack Opens. No, they won one of them.
Yeah.
And then of course later on, they became crazy and they started winning stuff and they're looking really solid, and then Hunter and Next get picked up, and I'm like, yeah, they're finally going to get farmed. But no, Emmy's like, I'm going to play now. They pick up this youngster called Chips, and all of a sudden they're again a contender. So have to give credit to these guys for sticking by their guns and believing in themselves, and here they are.
And you heard Crystal in that interview mention that he thinks Crazy are a little bit more not a team-based team, but more relying on their skill. And I have to slightly disagree with that. I think CR4ZY have evolved a lot over the past couple of months. Each DreamHack that we see this team, they're evolving and they're getting better and better, and they're focusing on their game style, their approach, more so than their mechanics. And I think that's really allowed players like Ships, the youngster, to come out and be able to understand exactly what his role is going to be on this team. You see it map per map. He's got these incredible rounds. We saw that banana take on Inferno. We even saw his Dust 2 shenanigans. So he's one of those players that can really be explosive, and I think it's really up to Emmy to be able to figure out exactly how he wants to use such a strong member on his team.
Yes, exactly, and I really want to pick up on that. Obviously, you mentioned there, Blair, that they won DreamHack Rotterdam, but obviously with a different roster, and then the major fiasco happens. They sort of blow everybody's expectations out of the water there, and coming into this, especially from your side, Potter, because you were obviously in Rotterdam, you've been at every single DreamHack Open. How have they kind of changed and evolved as a team since then? Obviously, we've seen some roster moves coming in. Do you see sort of any particular improvements in them?
For sure, and I mean, it's got to be Emmy, the coach turned full-time player. I think a lot of the times right now, our expectations are always up and down between in-game leaders. What can we expect from them? Do they value more so their preparation and approach to the game? Is it going to be all about that firepower? What exactly is the in-game leader going to be? And Emmy is a little bit of a mixture of both. I mean, Dust 2 is going to be our third map, and I feel like Dust 2 and Emmy, that's his comfort level. He's going to be towards that long A. He likes to hold really close up on those double doors, and he's generally good for 2. And that's really rare to say about an in-game leader. So I think Emmy's in a good position right now. He's just got to make sure that he's on point with his calls to allow the communication to come through for these guys.
You got to bear in mind, Ships, Esperanto, and Emmy are amongst the top 5 highest rated players in the tournament right now.
There you go.
Albeit, they've only played 2 once.
Well, the guys are just about to get into the game. So really quickly, I'm going to do our predictions. Potter, who are you going to be siding with for this one?
I still think GODSENT won out on these veto processes, but I'm going to go with CR4ZY. I'm hoping that they have something in their back pocket to be able to come through on that Vertigo and show us something. But yeah, I'm going to go with CR4ZY here.
CR4ZY. Because, yes, GODSENT, they look... The map views make sense, like you said, right? They should be feeling more comfortable here, but I think the streak's going to end. CR4ZY just look better in the recent past. So
yes, exactly. I think I'm going to be siding with CR4ZY too, just considering looking at GODSENT's recent run of form, the 16-14s that have been coming out and how many rounds could have gone in their opponent's favor. I think CR4ZY will be capitalizing upon that. But 2 more people I want to speak to are our lovely casters taking this one away. Guys, what are you thinking of this?
Potter's gone with CR4ZY, so they don't stand a chance now. She literally curses them every time when she picks them.
I should have, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, Neil. If you're watching this later, I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Potter. Well, and thank you everybody on the desk for all that you offer going into our second semifinal, CR4ZY versus GODSENT. And if you ask me, yesterday it was already pretty crazy. So many 16-14 finishes for GODSENT going against the team that got an entire day of rest for themselves. Should be interesting.
It works both ways. Like at the same time, CR4ZY have probably been relaxing. They've been probably watching some of the matches, and they've had time to rest, of course. But that also means that they have not necessarily playing like Counter-Strike day in and day out. Like literally the whole day yesterday, GODSENT, you could just say it was a practice match for this one. Obviously it wasn't, because they had to get through it in the end, but they showed resilience. I think some of their players didn't necessarily have the best performances we've seen from them. And if they can hit that next level versus CR4ZY, I don't think that they're out of this match by any stretch.
And Vertigo is GODSENT's map pick. So we'll have to see maybe if they have learned some things from yesterday, carry it over into today for a clean performance against CR4ZY, who can be extremely volatile. Right off the bat, 1 taken down for both sides. As the pistol round begins, Ships starting to connect with the USP, and Emmy looking to do the same. Bombs dropped over at the top of the pit area. GODSENT are marked down to Madden, Stiko, and Makalele versus the force of CR4ZY.
This is not a nice place to have to retrieve the bomb from. Those stairs are tough to get past. Emmy, wait. Okay, it's messy, but he gets the kill. That's all that matters. He gets the kill nonetheless, and they're still having to try and retrieve this somehow. It looks like Stiko may go just on a long flank back around, but it's going to be troublesome either way, and it takes a lot of time to try and retrieve this. They have spotted out Ships, and they're going to get that kill. And the repeat coming out, Otto is going to net a frag, and that's important, because it means that they're not going to be able to even up this scenario. Instead, it's a 3 versus 1. Do they even know Stiko's here? I don't think they saw him cross, but the bomb's gone.
Yeah.
They're going to go running to A. This is going to be perfect for Sticko. He's managed to find the one way that it looks like he might be able to get back into the round. Sure, the CT defense will now be here, and he's going to put him down before this gets really scary. But hey, smart stuff. He actually managed to trick them into thinking he'd run away with the bomb.
That would have been an interesting way to kick things off here in the pistol round. Still really good play from him going into the rest of it, since you're not exactly faltering just yet after round number 1 of the match. GODSENT are electing to go through with a full Deagle lineup and some nades to boot.
That's a lot of HEs. Normally you'd see the investment into maybe a Molotov or some flashbangs, but they've clearly got something in mind. Maybe just going to nade out either up the top, maybe into the sandbag. Sandbag's a pretty good spot. They could try and hit the connection window as well, because we saw somebody play there in the previous round. Or they're just going to try and whittle away a few different people with a few different grenades. It might not be a sort of master plan, and could just be a few players picking up some grenades. You never know.
Already seeing a slight face-off over here by scaffold area, because it goes at the end of it, and there are 2 CTs on the opposite side.
Ooh.
Forces the back off, and that's the start of that nade damage we were talking about. Gets a chunk into auto.
They got 2 more. He's going to die. That should be bang on his head.
Boom.
There you go. That's all they needed. 2 grenades. Otto's removed from position. Now they actually have a genuine chance in this round. Emmy, he has to get a kill and he has to get away. Like, that's the only real success factor here. And Esperanto's now tagged desperately low as well. Just about gets around the corner. This is looking very good for GODSENT.
This grenade commitment coming from them does seem to be paying off so far. Nonetheless, Crazy still do have some firepower available to them should they get up close and personal, as Emmy is attempting to do there. Does get the kill. That was the goal. Backs out off of it. And now GODSENT have moved directly into the planting area. Smoke to block off part of this passageway, but the rest are rotating up from the ramp. Emmy's got the back angle, but it's up to the rest over moving forward. Emmy picks one up with the MP9 again. The bomb gets planted, but it is still a doable situation. Just a big tag up onto 2 of the CTs. Makalele with the Deagle onto Emmy. Puts his SMG to rest as Crazy have a limited time to try and make it for the retake. Now with Letney and Esperanto being the ones to stand, outnumbered to the brim. Letney burned on down right through the wall with the Deagle, and Esperanto down to 6 HP in the midst of the smoke. Tries to get to it for what was a very just kind of lottery type ticket play, and eventually gets taken down. But this is going to be tied up rather between Crazy and GODSENT.
Yeah, and they're going to give a big boost to their economy as well. I think there was some great mid-round calls actually made there. Obviously, the nade stack was a good idea just to get them that opener, but more importantly, you see some good Deagle shots coming out from Makalele, but it's more the isolation. That was what won them the round. Killing off Emmy in that position was vital. They're now actually going to push into a stack, however. They've got to be careful. There's 3 players around this corner. Sure, they should be able to mow some of them down, but there's already 1 pistol kill. Madden, he needs a little bit more than that. Tagged down to 28, but Sticko has rectified things. 3 kills to his name. Ships, he actually still has a chance, but they're going to go in the other direction. They even should have heard him get hit by the Molotov, and well, now it just comes down to an A-site after plant position, which is a lot to ask.
What a heavy follow-up from GODSENT. They really just want to ramp into these rounds. Get another plant. Aggression all the way. Madden with the cleanup. I am interested to watch how Madden does, because if you look at when we were watching GODSENT earlier yesterday, there were some risky plays that were made by him that resulted in getting taken out early in a round and them getting punished for it. But in the latter portion of the day for their last series, he started to get back into that rhythm again, where he was doing exactly what you wanted him to do. So which one are we going to see from this young gun? That's the question.
The thing is, I feel like they are one and the same. Like, the plays that you see that can sometimes be considered bad plays are also the plays that you see that can be considered good if they work. Like, he's the risk taker. That's what this team have got him doing. Like, it's not necessarily that he's playing well or he's playing bad, it's whether or not the team is good enough to counter these aggressive plays. So that will be the more interesting prospect. If he's going to be able to get away with what he was doing before, and even if he's not, is he opening up other avenues elsewhere which sort of make it worthwhile? It's more impressive to me that he doesn't seem to be someone that gets almost shy of making those plays. He'll keep doing it. He'll keep trying to irritate you, and eventually he'll catch you off, which is what makes it annoying. It's the same as what we saw from Roy in the previous series. When it works, it's amazing, and when it doesn't, it sucks.
It does take some mental fortitude to not let the times when it doesn't work out keep you from trying to make them again in the future. You here is some more of the SMG action. GODSENT are coming in as Zen gets 3, make that 4. Wants to clean them all up nice and pretty, but it's just for an answer. And GODSENT going all the way through. 4 picked up for Zen, Stico with the last one, but they make this a 3-1.
Yeah, and they built a lot of economy up as well. That's what you get from winning the second round Force Buy, is that to the CT economy it does the most damage possible because you reset the amount of money that they have down to 1,400, which if you now lose the pistol obviously doesn't happen anymore. You get a slight bonus. So then there's going to be one of those situations like Devilwalk's really struggling with his headphones. But yeah,
I'm only used to wireless.
It's one of those situations where they can't really purchase properly in these scenarios, so they have to wait for what is a few rounds in a row, and you've normally stolen away some guns. So you get the bonus of their weapons, the fact that they have no money, and then basically 3 rounds to just make up a load of cash. So you can see it currently reflecting in the side of GODSENT. Now they did take a bit of damage in the last couple of rounds, so it's not as good as it could have been, but even still moving forward into this half, I think it's good that they got off to a good start because they're the ones where, okay, sure, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that CR4ZY are not a team, but they're definitely more individualistic than we see GODSENT to be. Like, they are very much about those trades. It's not so much about the individuals, it's the unit. And I think that's where we're going to see that utility expended properly. Like, even in the rounds where they didn't have a buy, like they get a kill off an HE just by combining together and having a plan. And that's what I like watching GODSENT for, is when they seem to have their plan set in stone, it does actually work for them quite well.
Also what leaves CR4ZY to be unpredictable, and in this moment, Madden doing a great job of predicting where his shots will land, which was into Emmy. Esperanto answers with the M4. So it is still evenly matched between the two as far as manpower. Bomb is still in possession from GODSENT, located through the connector, not committed either way just yet. It's just ships over on the B site with more of a commitment from the defense on CR4ZY in rotated positions where they can make that if needed.
Chips left completely alone. He's going to be the man to watch a lot when it comes to this B site. He is good enough to hold it down on his own, don't doubt that, but the rotation will be a little bit further away, and CR4ZY definitely do like to dedicate a lot of players to that A ramp early into the rounds. Either that or they'll just send Otto there to try and hold it on his own, which I'm not really a fan of that strategy. Either way, the smoke's gone down. We're starting to see a rotation from Letney, but it's a relatively slow one. And it's still going to have to be ships. I think at least getting 2 kills here. Spots out the first, that's 1. Now the nade comes out and he does damage to both players and he buys enough time. Now Letney's in position and the bomb's dropped on the site. Smoke going to be thrown over. He's going to look to get aggressive. The flashbang helps, but Otto kills off Zen. And now Stico's going to be alone. He does not know that Letney's literally touching tips with him and just making sure that he guarantees that kills. It will be a second on the board for CR4ZY. But of course, as mentioned, there's a lot of money left for GODSENT.
Chips was able to pick one up. While he was going for more than that, it was enough to buy the time. Rest of the team to rotate through. Props to them, keeping it tight, 2-3 so far. We're early within the half. And now we'll have to see what kind of purchases come out here as the op is picked up by Esperanto to drop over towards Otto.
I kind of hope they get to a point where they have enough money that we can see the double AWP. Because we see it thrown in sometimes for Esperanto. He's been off to a little bit of a slow start, but when he does secondary AWP, you'll see it for sure on train. It's just enjoyable to watch, especially if he's hitting his shots. You can see the odds slightly in favor of GODSENT, and I can understand that, especially with the recent plays between these two teams, although I think they did very well at neutralizing the stars, like Esperanto and Ships. Now, if they start kicking off, like we saw Ships in the last round, breathe a little bit of life into the round, if they start getting to the point where they are hitting their shots, that's where this could be a different match.
Part of that individualistic nature of CR4ZY, relying on these 2 stars, one of them a younger player they've picked up back in around September, I believe. There's Stico. Start to open it up onto Esperanto, the person that you want to make sure you shut down on CR4ZY first.
I think that was straight through the wood as well, which is, that's going to be very frustrating. Nice work from Emmy, but he is only going to be able to get 1, and Otto is also taken down in the meantime. Letney needs to perform some magic, and Stico's the one doing that at the moment. 3 kills to his name. It seemed like he had a good game of Vertigo yesterday, and it's looking like more of the same. I'm not really sure what Ships is hoping for. Maybe just to take some of the weaponry away. His team have no cash to play with. Loss bonus. It's not going to be at the bottom, but it's still not going to be great. And I think he's just going to have to be a bit of a hero in the next round and try and take some risks. But yeah, so far so good for GODSENT. good executions. They've been great at finding the entries. Also, that was something I mentioned when we casted in the last match. We didn't really see many kills through, like the spam, where people just know the angles. I am named S-Tag as someone who just seems to do that all the time. Sticko might be another one, because I'm fairly certain that was a kill through the... either through the wood, or he peeked and just picked him off through the gap. But either way, I expect these players, at least, the more experienced ones, to know all of these angles and be able to pre-fire and get those free kills or free damage, at least. Yeah, there you go.
There it was. Madden was firing through that earlier too, so a couple of them probably practicing that. They did pick this map. So.
Yeah, well, also someone like Sticko is the type of person who will put in the effort to learn.
That time can pay off. Right now, that preoccupation over in the mid area kind of paying off for both sides as they each lose someone. At 1:30 on the clock, GODSENT have already rotated over towards kind of this mid-CT area. They look like they were going to try and go towards B, but they've actually backed off. Chips cracks it. Zen with the answer. And now it's just two CTs that are completely separated. One over on B, one located at mid. And with that, GODSENT still feel a little more favorable moving in, but they've not been marked down to actually even this out. Do they get punished for it? Sticko brought down to 25. Around the outside rafters they go, and the E-boxes are preoccupied by blue. Otto finds no problem fueling with this electricity on the back line, and Crazy, oh my goodness, they actually managed to work that through. Completely separated at the start of that engagement, collapsing over by the E-boxes, and picking off GODSENT for an ultimate round.
Give Letney the biggest fist bump of his whole career. He dinked every single player that walked into that site. Like every single one. He had a USP and nothing else. Like, that is a round that they should never be winning. And I've said it before. I think he's a player within this roster who is criminally underrated. I think a lot of the time he's put into like horrible positions and the tougher roles while the stars are allowed to roam free. But he definitely does have moments where you go, oh damn, that was sick. And hey, he made it very easy for Otto just having to hit one shot to the chest of the Deagle. I think you can rely on him to do that every single time. So that's the sort of round that you will get from Crazy, which I don't think you'll get from GODSENT. The rounds that don't really make sense, like the shotgun round we saw in Inferno, the USP round they managed to win as well in their first match. It's not stuff you'd expect, but they somehow managed to do it. Ships, though, he was the only B player, and he's already dead.
A surprise factor that Crazy has brought to the table can work sometimes, but GODSENT want to turn this round around in their favor. And Ships has been the only one sitting over there for multiple times, which leads GODSENT to believe it may still be the case. And they continue to get one pick after one pick. No major firefight just yet. Otto, great with that op. He does manage to put that into work right now, making that effort to get the two frags. Suddenly it's evened out between the two, and Crazy feeling much better about their defense. Picks up another one. There you go. All right, Otto. Starting to come online here. And it continues, okay. All right, Otto's got 4 right now, they've got 5.
What?
Oh, the ace.
Look at his face.
Otto.
That is a man from Finland smiling. You don't see that. That doesn't exist. Except maybe Alexi B, but I'm not even sure if he's actually finished. That was a sick round from Otto. He manages to pick them apart one by one. I will say, again, a little bit disappointed that, like, well, watch. How many flashbangs have you seen in this? 0. Like, this is just facing off against him one by one. And, hey, I don't expect Otto to miss any of those shots, but he saved them there. That round should have been done by the time that Ships and Esperanto were dead. And then Otto just kills absolutely everybody. That would put the wind in their sails. I'm sure that Neil M has just broken the sound barrier, even though that doesn't make sense because that's about speed. The speed of his shouting was very quick.
And the unexpected play from Otto matched by an unexpected finish smile. I like that any day, and I think Crazy would be happy with this performance any day too, starting to really get things rolling here within the first half. Makalele left all in his lonesome, bomb in his back, but you've got a lot of people that are going to be just not even having to rotate to find you, because with 4 people still up, they can just keep themselves spread on all of these entry points.
I think the guy making the highlight reels has definitely got his work cut out today. And, he's had 2 aces to find from AZ. There's a third one that's coming for Otto. I think Zen was very close to getting an ace earlier, so it's been an ace day so far. Either way, Makalele, 1v4. He needs an ace.
You know what?
He's not going to
As many as I'm not going to count anything out in my brain, even though it's...
He's not going to get it.
Well, especially the angle that he's coming in through now. Might make it difficult, but okay. Good start. There's still 3 that you have to deal with. Not enough information available to you. Last smoke that you've got has been planted on down.
Oh, prove me wrong.
Yeah, another E-box rotation, but Letney is there to make sure that that does not happen.
Yeah, he wanted to try and be Scream in that position, just go for the one taps. But yeah, this play from Esperanto again, like these are the sort of plays that you want to come out from these players. Like just pure, aggressive, risky Counter-Strike that somehow works. And that's what we've had a few rounds now from different players, like Letney with the USP, the Otto ace, Esperanto with a triple kill. Like all of those things are rounds that you can never count on necessarily, but they are the rounds that Crazy somehow seem to win.
While Otto is sitting with the 10 kills for himself, as half of those were achieved in the same exact round. Everybody else pretty even keeled on that side, 6, 5, 5, 5. Whereas on GODSENT, Sticko and Zen did manage to get a couple runs. Zen at one point got 3 kills in one of the rounds that really allowed them to, or yeah, 4. Sounds more right than GODSENT really were able to capitalize off of the back of that. But it isn't going to be that every single time somebody opening up with so many entries.
I think yeah, we've had a few. I think the same, yeah. Sticko did get 3, then Zen got 4 in one round. So it has been like backwards and forwards, different players performing, but it's scarier, I think, when Crazy is doing it. Esperanto, this is so risky, but he doesn't really have a choice. Letney's been able to help him out, and I don't think they know. Oh, he took him out! That's really unlucky timing. And well, that's going to mean that it's going to be an advantage now for GODSENT. Letney tries to re-aggress. Crystal is so ready for this, and that's going to be the easiest kill of his day. Ships, the last man standing. Even if he gets this kill, though, it's probably going to be the flee back to the B site. And Ships knows it. It's the Bulgarian looking to try and get a little bit aggressive. Look at Zen. He's read this perfectly, although Ships second-guessing himself a bit, runs back into Crystal. I think that Ships is a little bit confused with what's going on. It's going to be Crystal to double his kills in one round.
Some hesitation there in those moments where it was the 1v3 situation, which would have been difficult to execute. At least maybe you get confused like that. Left a bit of an opening for GODSENT to go ahead and clean that up. But it's 5-5 currently.
There were definite possibilities there. If Esperanto is facing the right direction, who knows what could have happened, but this time GODSENT wins the brawl. They're going to be system pistols here. Nice shot from Esperanto!
Oh.
A second as well!
There you go! There you go!
Jesus Christ, it's just losing my voice already, and we're only in round 11.
Apparently it's not a real round unless somebody gets at least 3 frags right off the top of it. Theme of Vertigo here in our first semifinal, which just also makes the rest of it happen in such an unexpected way, because how are you supposed to execute in the way that you intended when someone keeps doing that? Zen, from the back of this platform, manages to get it onto Emmy, but that's also going to be the favorable positioning from then, and this information has been dealt over to Crazy. Bomb is going to rotate into this spot. Makalele has made his way in for the support. Question is, how aware Crazy of the positioning? A move up from Ships between the E-boxes, finds one bullet between his eyes. It's the 2v2 here, and Letney overpowers with the MP9. Higher angle from Otto. Is he gonna back off? It's Makalele finding a lot of fire into his line, turns over to the left, and there he gets it. That is a secure round for GODSENT.
Yeah, that was a very good resurgence after what was a sick triple kill coming in from Esperanto. Even still, like, if you look at what they invested in that round, it's not a bad round for Crazy, but they are going to be frustrated that they didn't manage to close that out. And Makalele with the clutch at the end isolates both duels, hits every single shot at the end, so good work from him. Also Zen getting the kills into the site as well. Even still, both teams going to be a little bit dicey, and they're ready for that now. Esperanto has done the same thing multiple times, however, so has Otto. And he's successful once again.
So many CTs love popping up in that position, but I feel like we haven't really seen as much success from there as we have from Otto. One, he's been there with the op, where that hasn't always been the case for everybody that elects to defend from there. And then not as much utility used this time around on Vertigo to try and just flush him out of that location.
Once again, we're going to see some mid presence and potentially a split into this B side. Crystal going to be leading the charge, takes the battle burst, his ships, and actually wins it out. He took a lot of early damage, but ultimately still comes out on top. Now there's the flank, and such a good position from Zen. He's been able to catch him a few times. Letney once again trying to be the savior for them here. A lot of damage done onto these remaining players. He's expecting Zen to come in from behind, but Zen's actually switched his angle and finds the kill anyway. Emmy into a 1 versus 3. A couple low, so there's a chance, but already with Zen on 3 kills and them just holding these after-plant positions, no kit available for Emmy either. The chances are looking slimmer as the seconds go by, and I think he's made that realization that it just has to be the save of his gun.
Can't control who you're gonna end up running into first. Let's say it's Crystal or Zen might have a better chance of doing so. In this case, it would have been Sticko. So good chance to back off. Did pick up that op off the ground. To, if anything, save and send it over to someone if he can manage to survive. He's backing out towards Zen. That's maybe gonna catch him. Yep. Peeking down the hallway, Zen's able to make sure that that rifle doesn't stay with Crazy.
Yeah, a nice cleanup in the end. And I really like the rotations that we're seeing out from Zen. Like, it seems like he is very, very comfortable on this map, being able to cut off any of the CTs as they try to get back into the site. And, well, there's a reason he's currently got 15 kills on the board. Not quite sure what's going on here. Is this like a pixel walk that I don't know about? Or is this something they've just seen and gone, can we get up there?
Interesting time to try it. But nonetheless, Madden gets knocked down, but he ends up picking up the kill. Still able to stick around with 2 HP. It's the 3v4. Shots go through the smoke, as well as some flashes that land upon Esperanto and Letney, but not enough for there to be any follow-up onto it. GODSENT have brought the bomb over towards that ramp, and everybody from Crazy will have to rotate on over. Zen takes out ships. This leaves a more favorable position, but Letney is also lurking here and might end up finding him first. He knows that Zen is coming his way, is going to be able to line up this with the Deagle. And a molly to boot goes directly onto the site. 2v2, make that 2v3. Madden still sticking around after that early damage. And Letney will slowly rotate in here upon Big. You got Crystal hanging over in that side corner, where he has been able to find some very efficient kills in times past. Some remembering to check in that direction, but not everyone has.
I'm actually curious what the plan even is here with Letney. It just seemed a waste of a gun. And that's something we've criticized Crazy for in the past, is that they seem to sometimes struggle to just hold on to the extra weaponry that they find. And like him there, like he knew he wasn't going to win the round at that point. It was more just an attempt to do damage. But when it's already 8-5, your opponents have won, what, 4 rounds in a row. Their economy is going to be booming anyway, so it was way more important to save the AK. Now, they do get away with it in the end. It's going to land into Esperanto's hands instead, but even still, they could have looked around for a little bit more. Doesn't matter too much in the end.
But those are the moments that, while it didn't matter here in this very specific instance, it is an indication of a trend that has been a detriment to them in the past. Right now, it is a heavy utility pouring into this A ramp. But Crazy's already set some up there. Emmy gets taken off of the scaffolding, so Madden and Seiko very effective in their push up towards that. Gonna slow it down a little bit as Otto is lurking around somewhere. He's got an op on him again. Cross potentially set up. Letney is also positioned over there by Big and has moved up towards these oranges. Sticko takes a lot of damage. Crazy begins to potentially rotate the rest of their CTs on over. At least Chips is going to try and make himself over this way. Otto taking damage through the scaffolding. And that wood that we have noticed so important here on this map, depending on who capitalizes upon it.
He's going to go down. Nice trade from Letney. He has been having a pretty good map so far. Bomb not necessarily dedicated to this ramp just yet. It could go back in the other direction, and because of the lurk coming out from Zen, it's going to be expected though. After a while, the same thing does become a little bit too obvious. Even still, he's still managed to get themselves fairly far forward. Letney on the AWP, but he's going to get wrecked by Makalele. He's been having a very good game. Looking for a little bit more, but Esperanto would deal with him, but gets put down to 20 HP. From above, Chips peeks in and gets one more, and it turns into a 1v1 scenario. Only 20 seconds left on the clock, and I think SB can almost just wait. He's going to retrieve the AWP, goes for the peak, but Sicko holds on. 2 kills for him, a 9th round onto the board, and the T side, they've had 5 in a row.
If I'm crazy right now, you got to start looking back at that and thinking, what can we change up here? Because GODSENT being allowed to walk away with 5 and bringing this 5-9, last round of the half. Wondering if GODSENT can bring this into double digits. Working with a couple HEs for themselves too. But they're going to be slowing down at this point in time. It's Esperanto with the op this time too, so we do get to see some of the action. Not for the double op setup. But that means he'll also be playing this very differently than he has in times past, perhaps to try and throw off the trail, since GODSENT has been sniffing out what Esperanto has been dealing at the top of these rounds. Potential ramp play incoming. And Emmy is once again the one that's going to be first to watch over on that angle.
Yeah, he's been struggling. A lot of the time, the aggression that he's been attempting has failed miserably, and the T's have done very well at countering that position, which can be a detriment, as we've seen. A lot of spam going through the wood as they look to make their way through. Again, it's going to be Letney to find them that opener. Trades back, Letney again, even getting a double, but it may not be enough. Emmy finally chimes in with 1, but surely he's going to get traded out. Still standing a 2 versus 2, and SB quick on the trade is left to Sicko once again in a 1 versus 2 situation. Doesn't have control of the bomb and doesn't have a whole lot of time. An aggressive position for SB though. If he misses the shot, that could be enough to maybe hand the round away. You can see he's just trying to maybe bait out some of these shots from the AWP, trying to get him to miss, but neither of them are faced. However, Esperanto peeks the angle, gives him a chance. There's only 10 seconds left. All that Ships has to do is just wait for that plant to go in, but it's a fake plant. It's a risk, it's a push, and there's only a second left. He doesn't know where he is. In fact, he's behind you. A 9-6 half close.
The Vertigo reign continues here at the DreamHack Open. GODSENT pushing themselves up in the lead against CR4ZY after the first half. Not quite into double digits yet on their map pick, but we'll see if they can turn that around here in round number 16 as we head into the pistol.
Yeah, it's been a real brawl so far with big plays coming up from either side and a fast push coming up the ramp straight away. Now, Madden's in one of my favorite positions. Just don't look down because it's terrifying.
You don't like heights?
Not if I was standing on an edge of a building, no. I think I don't like death. I think that's more the thing I'm afraid of than the height itself.
Maybe if you had like a bungee jumping cord or something.
No, I don't think I'd like that either. I don't trust people.
Maybe not here on Vertigo too when there's a bunch of pistols around you ready to try and force you off anyway. Matt, now we'll see if this angle can work for him. He does find one. Nobody sees him just yet.
Crystal just got everyone.
Crystal ends up getting the work as far as getting the kill credit, but still, Madden, I like that nobody was able to look around in that direction. Chips is aware, but Sicko finds him in the end. Esperanto all in his own.
Yeah, this is a tough situation for him. A 1 versus 4. No
Bomb
utility.
completely.
Yeah, doesn't have the bomb. I think he's just hoping that somebody comes in on the flank, but as you can see, Makalele's playing it smart. He's just going to wait. Like, he doesn't have a reason to actually push forward in this scenario. He knows that he's got 3 teammates looking after the bomb like a chicken on an egg, and they're not going to go anywhere. So until Esperanto kills at least 2 of them, he doesn't even need to think about moving. They've repositioned as well into spots that were already cleared by his teammates, but are no longer going to be clear. So Esperanto doesn't have a chance in hell.
Couldn't match up against the King Penguin sitting on the bomb. That will be double digits hit for GODSENT, though it is still early in the second half.
I wanted to see this because, firstly, 2 of them go down to the same little spray of bullets.
Good job, man. Good job.
I feel like he's the sort of teacher that's like harsh but fair. Like, he'll get really emotional and really into it, and then when it's, oh, good job, buddy. It's like, you just shouted at me a minute ago.
Doesn't that make it mean that much more?
At least you know he cares.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
You know it's real when he does shoot you that smile and reassurance. GODSENT are really going for the money play with a complete SMG lineup against Crazy, who are rocking a few Deagles and a couple CZs. Some flashes, a molly, and a couple smokes for themselves too. As the bomb slowly rotates up the A ramp, and it's Sticko that will be continuing to watch over this area from the back.
Doesn't have a whole lot of support, so there's a possibility here. We've seen some great work already with the pistols come out from Crazy, but it's more going to be onto the execution. You can see the smokes being lined up, the lurk being held by Esperanto to try and stop anybody getting forward. And this should, as a minimum, be a bomb plant, but this is where the counter nades are going to be thrown. Molotov to try and shut them down from actually getting out. That's the aim. Don't allow them away from the flames, and in fact, does a lot of damage. Good utility usage already from GODSENT, and actually, they've denied the bomb plant, and in fact, they've even dropped it to the deck. This is fantastic. And look how many smokes they have left. Just the one. It's on Esperanto. The nade even dunking into the corner. This has just been a masterclass of utility usage from GODSENT. They haven't even had to really face off against these remaining players. And while Crazy, again, it's going to have to be a miracle round because of how good GODSENT have been on the defense.
3 standing now for Crazy. Before the first smokes even cleared, they had been seared by GODSENT that are just sitting over by that tower, waiting patiently before they move in. Lots of close range firepower for them too, coming over to the top and the bottom. Everywhere they're peeking through. And GODSENT say, yep, I mean, we were expected to come through after getting those opening kills into that area. They just had to wait for the moment to overrun them and do so.
That was perfect from GODSENT. I can't think of anything that, well, maybe not losing the one player. Other than that, like the Molotovs that they used absolutely wrecked Emmy. They set one up behind him so that when they threw one onto him, he had to run back through it to get away. Then they have the nade that dunks onto Letney. They basically killed 2 players just off 1 bullet of an MP9 just because they were so clean with how they used the utility. And I love seeing rounds like that. I think that there's beauty in obviously being able to hit like the 1-deags we saw from Esperanto, but there's also a true beauty of just a team using their utility perfectly in a round.
And because of how that went, they're going into this still with their weapons. They've got utility. They're going against this pistol lineup once again. More of a Deagle prioritization this time around for Crazy. And through connector they go. So they'll be soon coming up to these steps. Not at the surprise of GODSENT, though, that are prepared and ready to try and answer this. Starting off with an incendiary of their own, follow up onto his own utility. Zen is able to get that first frag as they move up. Madden cleans it up onto Otter. And now Crazy are just not looking good as they try to move up that. Not expecting them to, but they were perhaps hoping to at least take somebody out in the process. And are unable to do so.
Yeah, having 4 SMGs going into a round and surviving with all of them. They lost 1 player in their last 2 rounds, so their money is booming. They've made lots of it based off just SMG kills alone, and now all they're really buying back up is the utility. So into the next round, they'll have a fully fledged rifle buy, and they have the rounds to play with where they can take the risk and go for something here. And that flashbang was sick. Esperanto didn't even get to see the man that ended his life. Otto does at least trade.
That is something that Crazy have to look forward to. First time in a couple of rounds that they are playing with an even man playoff 4v4. There's a lead in with the molly, this time from Emmy from a similar location. Starts to get some burn onto Madden, but is Nico taking over to the scaffolding passageway once again. Can't find the connection for a final kill, but eventually is able to sweep it off the floor. Madden's backed off into the same positioning where he found success prior, though in the more traditional boost up. But Crazy have started to spread themselves towards that site. Unfortunately, the planting itself may be difficult unless they have something to hide behind. But Ships luckily cracks open Madden, which evokes the response rotation from the rest of the CTs.
Oh, how that should have been a punish. That needed to be. It's the right angle being held by Otto, but unfortunately doesn't manage to get the shots off. Spam going through, trying to bait Sticko into a peek, and that works at least. Nice kill again from Ships. He's given them some hope. And in the 2 versus 1, it's on to Makalele. Bomb is going to be going in over onto that A side. Both players low. So there's still a chance for the Swede to upset the Crazy party. Well, coming in from an elevated angle. Are they going to expect him to peek right up? There's the burst. Letney's in the corner, however, and he may have expected him to trade that kill back. Hasn't spotted him out yet. He's right below him. Missed shot from Letney. And Makalele is going to win himself another clutch. He really is performing well today. It is going to look to be maybe the retrieval of some extra utility, a kit picked up just to save some time. And GODSENT are going to get their 13th round. And again, that was with all the SMGs still in play, right? So look at their cash.
Thought for a second that he was sought out after getting that first kill here onto ships. But one more hop over to his right was enough for him to get the final spray down. Letney could not contend with that one. GODSENT up to 13 at this point. Every single CT round here in this second half has been picked up in their favor.
Yeah, they're looking very good indeed. It's been a long streak of rounds. 9 of the last 10 have gone the way of GODSENT, which, well, you can't get much better than that.
Not quite, not quite.
I'm liking that they've actually got Madden on the AWP, maybe planning to be a little bit more aggressive with that. Also, Sticko in the corner. They've only got one Molotov on Crazy, and you know that they like to Molotov the boxes on the site. Everybody does. That's the classic with their setup. So it's already actually been used. So they're not going to be able to clear this position easily. Sticko is in the perfect place to basically just cause as much trouble as possible for the side of Crazy. Flashbang over the top, but they still haven't checked, and there's going to be the counter, but nobody peeking out. That might almost work as a bit of an elaborate ruse, like, oh, well, there was a flash, no one peeked, so maybe there's no one there.
Oh, but if you don't check these sandbags, you're going to regret it later. Right now, they're just spraying through the woods, seeing if anybody is lurking behind there, because they have been able to find some of those picks in the past. They might start to move up towards this ramp, end up taking some damage from this HE, and they're going to be turning all their sights over to the back of the site, which leaves Sticko the opportunity to get these shots from the back, saying, oh my, está loco in Vertigo, as Sticko really using that position to his full advantage. Auto here amidst, and as the smoke clears, his life goes with it. So GODSENT put 14th on for themselves.
Yeah, that's something that we probably won't see again throughout the map, but there may not be that much longer left in the map. 14-6. Sticko has been sick. He has got 22 kills to his name, 10 deaths, but you can't really say that anybody's performed badly. Every single player positive at the moment, and while they've had play after play that have just been massively successful. There's mainly only been A takes as well, attempted by the Crazy side. The B side has been a safe haven for whoever gets to stand there, and now Maiden, well, these are the aggressive plays we like to see out of him. Those aggressive positions, he's gonna get the opener, even almost gets a double. Emmy left on just 15 HP, and with such limited utility, only just about the weapons. Like, bear in mind, 2 of the players don't even have head armor. This is looking already done.
GODSENT.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, Ships ends up getting 2 before he falls, but it is still the 2v3 scenario here with Emmy marked all the way down to 15. They do have the bomb on them, and then Sticko's just going to get to the same exact positioning that not necessarily the last round, but he was able to earlier within this half get some good stuff going from it. But it's an expected angle to be taken. Crazy, unfortunately, not expecting it enough, and Sticko sticks it to them once again. Double for himself. And this is potentially map point, everyone. GODSENT picked Vertigo. Still ended up going back and forth a lot during the first half, but the CT side seems to be where a lot of their strength resides.
I'll be honest, I think Crazy probably knew going into this was not going to be a good map for them. Like, well, since the loss of... Like, they played it a little bit more when they had Nexter and Hunter, but since they've gone, it's just basically been so reliant on individual plays that I don't think they're going to be too bitter about losing this map. The next 2, however, are maps that they do like to play. They play both Train well and Dust 2, so it's definitely going to be more of a challenge for them, but this has been an absolute slaughter. GODSENT are slapping them back as if to the first day, where this is just absolutely dominant. Otto has been trying to pull this back, but kill after kill goes the way of GODSENT. And while it's going to have to be an incredible clutch situation on Letney, who's not had a bad performance. I think he did fairly well in the first half at least, but a 1 versus 4, I don't believe.
And the time to believe is starting to dwindle on down as Letney does break into this site. He manages to clear off 2. 1v2 scenario, a lot more favorable than 1v4. Ah, but there it is. GODSENT finds it. They get it, not just for the half, but for this map in its entirety. Setting off to a strong start with their map pick. But as you said, CR4ZY probably not expecting to walk away with the victory there, and will have enough to work with to try and just mentally bring themselves back into it before they head into train.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely need to have that mentality going into it. Like, you've got 2 of your best maps coming up next. Sure, you don't really get given Mirage in a match versus GODSENT. I think that's one of the other problems, is their best map has always been Mirage. GODSENT don't play Mirage. But the next 2 are good maps for them. So if it's the same, then, hey, GODSENT may even be set to take the tournament.
Yeah, and there were times in that where even though it did go in GODSENT's favor, CR4ZY were really bringing it forward. And I would love to see how they're able to turn things around potentially as we go into our second map after this break.